Once upon a time, there was a miserable girl that was working as a personal shopper. And y'all may be thinking, why is she miserable? It's just a personal shopper job. It's easy. Listen, it is to a certain extent. But for one, look at me. My vest is crooked. My face looks very unhappy. And no, I'm not acting. This is how I felt on a daily basis working there. Yes, I'm saying felt past tense because I already quit that job. So yeah, I don't work there anymore. But let me just run through it. It was really mind-boggling to me why I ended up not liking this job, and I couldn't put my finger on it because it's not a very hard job. It's very self-explanatory, but it's just the way that everything was structured when it came to working here that was just very much a hot mess. For one, we were short-staffed a lot. In the beginning, not so much, but we have a system of orders that we have to do. And with those orders, they want us to kind of rush and get them all done as fast as possible, which it can be very unrealistic at times. And with the amount of orders that we receive, even with doing them on time, no matter how much you do, it's just never enough. And the orders run from morning time, whenever the place opens. Honestly, I didn't get any very early morning shifts, but it can go from early in the morning to all the way to 6 p.m. and they have to be done. I mean, sometimes they may tell us, hey, you know what, you can't get it all done in one day, cool. But most of the time, we have to finish them all. Working as a personal shopper, you may be hit with a lot of obstacles. Here I am right now dealing with an obstacle. But anyway, let me talk about one, substitutions. Substitutions could be a pain in the butt to deal with, but it's not the same as doing DoorDash or Instacart, where you can communicate with the customer while you're doing the order. We can't communicate with customers, and that's the problem. So what we have to do is just kind of figure it out for ourselves. Not the app, but the system that we're working through will make a suggestion if the customer doesn't make any suggestions, but sometimes that suggestion is just not helpful enough, which can make the customer very unhappy. They will end up wanting a refund, and sometimes they have the option to reject something, which means while you're taking the orders out, you got to go through their bag and take out the item that they didn't want, which, can make things more time consuming. Here I am taking the trash out. So one thing I will say, closing was pretty easy as long as you still don't have any orders to work on. But it all depends on who picked up their items and stuff like that. We can leave early if everything is done, but sometimes you'll have customers that literally wait to the very last minute to come pick up their stuff. And they have a time limit to when they can do that. So during this shift, I had to take out orders still, even though the orders have stopped. This part can be pretty fun, except for when things are too freaking heavy. I am a small girl. I am 5'1", a little over 100 pounds. Some stuff be way too heavy. People order tons of sodas and waters, and that can be very tiring and frustrating. It takes all of me to have to lift a whole bunch of stuff sometimes, and that part is what I really got tired of. Here I am taking out the trash. We have to go through this long path to take out the trash. It's very sketchy when it's dark outside, but that's what we have to do. And then they have the audacity to have this locked up. I knew nothing about this. It had never been locked up, so I just randomly put it right here where the recycling is, because what else was I supposed to do? So as you can see, I am going to be quitting my job. And I just started this job in January. Here I was, a couple months ago, all happy that I started this job and I finally quit the adult store, just for me to turn around and end up hating the new job. and it with no job. And I am definitely looking, but this time around, I'm just not going to rush it. I'm going to trust the process. I'm going to be chasing my dreams. Not really chasing, but I am going to be putting more focus on what I'm doing right now. Okay, making content, doing photo shoots, reaching out to brands, stuff that I actually want to do with my life instead of focusing my energy on places that make me miserable. And there are going to be jobs out there that don't make you miserable, but this job, it just didn't work out for me. I tried, and this is why, in the future, when I start working somewhere, if I decide to continue working for somebody, if like the next time I work somewhere, I'm just gonna wait it out before I just announce that I have a new job. Just to see if I end up liking it. Because of course, when you first start off somewhere, it's going to seem pretty cool, but you have to literally work somewhere for a while before you actually get the feel for how you really feel for that place. And yeah, it just, I don't know. So yeah, with me quitting, I put in my 2 weeks. There are times where I really thought about just quitting, because most places will fire you and not give you a 2 weeks notice. They'll just let you go. So why is it required for us to put in the 2 weeks? Like, why should we do it for their benefit? Well, it's not really always because of their benefit, but your benefit as well. It gives you more time to search for a new job, even though 2 weeks, I feel like, is not really long enough to find a good job, depending on what job you end up finding. Me, it's like this time around, if it takes me 2 weeks to find a new job, cool. If it takes me a little bit longer, that's fine. But this time, I'm weighing out all of my options instead of just settling for the next place that hits me up. I'm actually going to weigh out the pros and the cons of each place I apply to, and pay attention to the interview. Like, I don't know, like, not saying I'm not paying attention, but like, usually when I start a new job and I am hired, I feel like I automatically have to start, which is not always the case. It's okay to take your time. It's okay to continue to weigh out your options. If you're not completely sure, keep looking. When everybody at the workplace found out that I was quitting, a lot of their questions was, where are you going next? Which, anytime somebody quits a job, like, people are going to ask you, like, where are you going next? Like, did you get hired somewhere else? Like, what are you going to do? So that is a very valid question. You know what I'm saying? Like, of course, people like to be nosy. It's just something that most people would ask. Like, oh, hey, where are you going? Like, where are you going next? You quitting your job? Okay, did you find a new job? Most people would ask that question. But here's the thing. I don't have anything coming up next. And some people would look, like, when you don't have something coming up next, people would look at you crazy, like, you don't have another job, which I get it. In this society, it's hard to survive. So it's kind of like, okay, like, what are you going to do to keep yourself afloat? But that's really nobody's concern but mine and God's concern. At the end of the day, people don't know your life story. They don't know your circumstances. They don't know what you have going for yourself. And there's no need to explain. There's no need to feel bad. Like, if you are doing the same thing that I'm doing, if you happen to quit your job and you don't have something, right away, as long as your circumstances are a certain way to where you're just not homeless, if you have somebody you can stay with, if you have somebody providing for you. I also want to clarify that don't just go live off of somebody for the sake of doing it. I mean, for people who have a significant other that takes care of them, very close with their family members, or have a roommate they can stay with and only pay a couple $100s a month. I would never want to tell people to just go do whatever, don't work, and take advantage of people and stuff like that. But if that's your prerogative, hey. If you live with your parents, whatever. I'm not just saying go quit your job if you're the only person paying your rent and stuff like that. If you don't have anything saved up, you know what I'm saying? But people don't know that necessarily when you quit a job. And I just feel like I don't want to explain that to people all the time. Like, and it is a risky thing. And what I'm doing differently is quitting knowing I don't have another job. And, you know, usually you got to think like, I've been fired from places before, and I had to start from square one. So quitting is the same thing. Like, sometimes you just have enough. Like, you just had enough. And that's how I feel. Like, I had enough. And I cared enough about the job to at least put in a 2 weeks notice. That way they're not too short staffed, because they had already lost 2 people that they did not replace. And part of me, you know, I have that consideration in my heart to at least, you know, stay by the 2 weeks and at least take those 2 weeks to look. And I have been looking, but haven't quite found some place to go just yet. This time I'm not focused on worrying and stressing about money and stuff like that. Even though my circumstances are different, I do have somebody who does provide most of the bills, you know. However, I usually spend most of my money on everything. I pay for my own gas, I pay for my own food, I buy my own clothes, I pay to get my hair, my nails done. You know, I take care of my car. So it's a lot, and I have like a gym membership. So it's a lot that I'm kind of risking right now with not having a job. However, you know, I'm thankful that I have a savings at least, so I will be fine. I just have to trust that I will be fine and just not worry and stress so much. I'm not like, I can't just let the fear of being broke control me anymore. Like, I'm tired of letting capitalism control my life. When there's more to life than capitalism, it's more to life than money. And there are people who literally, there are other countries that don't even live like that. Like, they live based on their way of lifestyle is all about life. And I'm just tired of stressing about bills and money. And sometimes everybody just needs a break. Even if it's 2 weeks, even if it's a month, whatever. I could have, you know, took a mental health break, but I didn't want to go back. I don't want to go back there. Like, that's just some place I don't want to work. Granted, I have worked at worse places for way longer, you know, and I already basically explained like why I'm leaving if you looked at the clips. But I just don't have the tolerance at this day and age. I am 27 years old. I don't have the tolerance to be doing so much for so little. For little to no appreciation, little to no pay, little to no benefits, little to no work-life balance, which I tried, and that was like the main reason why I quit, because I feel overwhelmed with trying to do so much, trying to do YouTube, trying to do modeling, trying to run platforms, trying to keep the house clean and take care of my home life, take care of myself, take care of my body, go to the gym every single day, not every single day, but at least 3 to 4 times a week. It is a lot. It is a lot. And my mental health is deteriorating. I mean, of course, y'all don't see it on social media, but it is. It has been hard for me to keep myself organized. It has been hard. Like, I just feel like my life is on go. I'm always running around. I'm never home. I can just never breathe. It's been so chaotic for the past 2 years. And it's literally just taking a toll on my mental health. Like, and I'm trying to make sure I don't, you know, ever like become very depressed to the point where I'm self-harming and stuff like that, where I literally had thought about like not wanting to be here anymore. And I'm worth more than just worrying about a paycheck, okay? A small paycheck at that, for so much work that I do. And it's just, that's what my job felt like. Like, this, in the state of California, minimum wage is like, I think $16 to $16.30, okay? And y'all might think, oh yeah, that's pretty high, which, you know, which is a good thing, that because a lot of other states are actually getting up to the same price of living as California, and their wages are still small, like $7.25. But still, California is expensive. Be fucking for real. California is expensive, and $16 an hour is not gonna cut it, especially for a weekly check. I was blowing through that bitch so fast. Like, I just couldn't manage it. I could not manage it. It was hard for me to save. I would say at least bi-weekly, you know, I feel like you get the full check, and I was able to stretch that a little bit more. But those weekly checks were just not doing it for me. It wasn't doing it for me, which is why I left my old job, because I wanted to get paid weekly. But for that wage that I was making and getting paid weekly by it, and having to do so much physical work, and then was like having to do like, basically you have to worry about like maybe 3 to 4 things at once, okay? Have to fucking shop for people at the same time. You have customers asking you a whole bunch of questions, and then you have to worry about taking orders out to people who already had their orders shopped. It was just way too much for me. Way too much. And I'm so glad that I'm almost done with it. So yeah, do I regret quitting my old job? No, because like I feel like it was time for me to leave. Like, I was ready to just do bigger and better things, and I don't regret quitting. But had I just stayed by it a little bit longer so I could find like something that was more worth it? Absolutely. Was I going to quit eventually? Yes. Regardless, I was going to end up quitting, but I should have waited. I definitely should have waited and quit for something more worth it. So in the future, I don't know what's to come, but this time I'm actually going to, I guess, go with the flow. I don't know. That's not like me. I usually, you know, would never want to go broke. I would never, you know, want to just not work, not to have a source of income. My side hustles, like, I get little side hustles here and there. Don't really do much for me right now, but I'm thankful that I at least have like some side hustles. There are so many ways to make money, but you have to do your research, and that's what I'm just doing right now. Just doing my research to everything: content creation, modeling, everything. Just everything, anything that I feel like would be beneficial to me in any way. Taking out my last order. And here she proceeds to take her last phone call, take out her last order, and that's the end of this chapter, and hope she'll live a happily ever after.